guys want to hear a story of the first flute?
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a nice one.
Does it have a princess in it?
Does Yeah. It's a good story. So this is another Lenope story. I learned these stories back in 2000. I think it was 2000. I connected with the Lenape Nation of Pennsylvania. I started doing a lot of work with them. At that time, we did a 330-mile river trip down the Delaware River. It's called the Rising Nation Journey, and the intention behind the journey was to bring awareness to the Lenape Nation of Pennsylvania and what they were doing. They're functioning today as a nonprofit in this area, and their goal, one of their goals, is to create a healing center slash cultural center to bring the Lenape culture to the area. At the time, there's a center in Allentown that brings the culture to the area, and there's also Churchville Nature Center, which is in this area. I also teach there. Gary also teaches there. We teach Lenape culture there, and I actually bring these stories to kids in schools in the Bucks County area, which is just amazing. It's incredible that we can actually do that, get paid for it. So this is another story that I like to tell the kids when I go out to do school programs. You guys like to play again? Awesome. This is the story of the first flute. I'm going to use the D, yeah, but I'm going to use this one as a prop. Okay. So, let's say this story takes place about 1,000 years ago in this area. There's a Lenape village, and in that village was a young man. And he just turned 16 years old. And when a Lenape young man turned 16, it was his time to leave his village and to go look for a wife. So our young man, let's say he's Turtle Clan. He lived in this area. The area where we live is the Unami territory, Turtle people, the people down by the river. They were the wise ones. They were elders. They were well respected among all the other nations. So our young man, he's turned 16, and he went to his mom. He said, "Mom, I'm going to leave the village. I'm going to go find myself a wife." So he traveled down south, and he traveled to some of the villages down there, the Lenope villages, and he visited the Turkey clan down there. And while staying down in one of those Turkey clans, he saw and fell in love with one of the most beautiful girls he'd ever seen in his life. The minute he saw her, he knew she was going to be his wife. After he saw her, he found out that she happened to be the daughter of the chief of that village, which means not only was she beautiful, but she had a lot of suitors that wanted to be with her. A lot of young men wanted her to be their wife, because if they married her, then ultimately they would become chief of that village. But this didn't matter to the young man. It wasn't important to him. He didn't really care about being chief. He just knew that he loved her. Our young man, he was kind of shy, didn't know how to talk to her. He kept to himself a lot. He used to go on long trips in the woods by himself. He wasn't as expressive as some of the other young men that were talking to this young woman. So he decided to go on a hunting trip, go spend some time in the forest to think of an idea as to how to approach this young woman. He didn't know how to talk to her. So he got his hunting gear, he got his knife, his chikan, some jerky, packed it up, got all his stuff for a couple-day journey into the forest. And he started on his journey. Now, as he left the village, he came across the tracks of an elk, and he decided to follow these tracks. Now these tracks took him far away from the village, to a place in the forest where he had never been before. He came into this circle of cedar trees, and the minute he walked into the circle, he knew that it was a place of magic, it was a place of spirit. The Lenope believed that there were certain places in the forest where the spirits could come through a little easier. He knew that this circle was one of them. The minute he walked into it, he got a little tired. He had been walking all day following the tracks of the elk, so he decided to put his bags down on the ground. As he started to drift off to sleep, he heard a sound that he had never heard before. It sounded a little something like this. Surely this young man, knew he was in the place of spirit. He thought that was a spirit talking to him. Didn't know what to think of it at first. Kind of made him a little uneasy. He started to get a little spooked, but before you know it, the sound ultimately lulled him off into the dream time. When the young man was sleeping, he was visited in his dream by a woodpecker. Woodpecker was hopping around the branches above his head where he was sleeping. And in the dream, he said to the young man, he said, "Follow me! Follow me!"
Okay.
Drilling holes into some of the branches looking for bugs. The young man couldn't believe it. He was so excited. He's like, "There's a woodpecker talking to me in my dream." And it woke him up. He was so excited. And when he woke up, he realized, wow, he had slept the whole night. And the sun was about 2 hands above him. And the woodpecker was there from his dream. He said, "You were in my dream." The woodpecker started hopping around branch to branch. And he remembered what the woodpecker told him in his dream to follow him. So he did just that. Grabbed his stuff and he started following the woodpecker. The woodpecker took him to a dead cedar tree. The woodpecker took a position on one of the branches, and the wind blew through the hollow branch. The woodpecker had drilled holes into the branch. It made the sound. Young man was so amazed. It's the sound that he heard. It was lulling him off to sleep. The woodpecker had brought him to the place of that sound. He was so excited. He got this idea. He said, if I could get this sound and somehow bring this sound to that young woman in that village, he said, surely that'll get her attention. This is way in. So he climbed up to the tree where the woodpecker was, got his chican, his knife, sawed off the branch, got all his stuff, and he ran all the way back to the village. Followed the elk tracks back. Took him all day to get back to his village. He was so excited that when he got back to his wigwam, he flew in the wigwam, threw all his stuff down, sat down. Honked his horn. Took the branch that he got from the woodpecker, started to play. What's going on? Nothing. The young man was devastated. He didn't know what was going on. Kept blowing and blowing and blowing. Nothing. No sound at all. This exhausted the young man. So he decided to put the flute on the ground. He decided, I gotta rest. Time for bed. So he lay down. Fell off into a deep sleep. At night while he was dreaming, guess who came back to him? The dream.
Woodpecker.
Woodpecker said to him, he said, "What's missing from the branch?" He said, "Why won't the branch play?" The young man didn't know what was missing from the branch. He said, "I don't know." He said, "What's missing from the branch?" Woodpecker said, "Think back. Think back to when I showed it to you." He thought long and hard. Do you guys know what was missing from the branch? Anybody? Huh?
The base of the tree.
The base of the tree.
The rest of the tree.
No? You guys don't know?
The holes.
The holes? What is it? She got it. The woodpecker. The woodpecker is missing from the branch. So the young man finally realized. He said, "Oh, he's like, you're missing from the branch." Woodpecker said, "That's right." The young man said, "Well, he's like, how's that gonna work?" He's like, you can't sit on the branch while I play that branch." He's like, "You got things to do. You're off drilling holes, looking for bugs, doing your thing." And Woodpecker said, "Yeah, you're right, man. I ain't gonna hang out while you play that thing all the time." He said, "But," he said, "when you wake up tomorrow morning, I want you to get your shikhan, your knife, go out to the forest, find a piece of nice cedar wood, and carve in my likeness a woodpecker, and place it exactly onto the branch where I was standing when I first showed it to you, and get some sinew, get some leather, get some rope that you made, tie it on there, just like that." Showed him how to do it in his dream. Young man woke up following morning, birds were chirping, the brook was babbling nearby. Young lady had never heard a sound like that before. She came out of her longhouse. She was wondering what was going on. She saw the young man sitting underneath one of the cedar trees near her wigwam, near the longhouse. He was sitting there playing the flute. The full moon was shining up ahead. Cedar tree stood tall and majestic. She was a little apprehensive, and she wandered over to the young man. She asked him what he was doing, and he showed her the flute, and he offered her a seat on his blanket. And he began to tell her the story of the woodpecker and his hunting trip and his dreams, and how the woodpecker had told him how to make the flute. She was fascinated. And he started to play for her all the songs that he had learned and all the songs of the animals. He would come and visit her, and they would spend a lot of time together, sitting on his blanket and sharing his stories and playing the flute for her. And they became really great friends. And in time, they got hitched. They got married. And the young man became the chief of that village, which he never really wanted. But when he became chief of the village, he got to share with the village all of the animal songs. And it brought the whole village together. And they would come together once a month, and they would light a fire, and he would share these animal songs with them. And the village started doing the animal dances and making masks and celebrating the songs of the natural world. And they sent that harmonic out. In that village, life was good in that village.
How good?
So good. So good. So this is my story, and I pass it on to you so that others may
Thank
come
you.
to me.
That was really nice. Thank you so much.